In today's episode of Locked On Pistons podcast, we break down the Detroit Pistons selection of Chaz Lanier and why the Pistons could believe this player will be an impact player from day one. We'll talk about it today's episode, Locked On Pistons podcast. Let's go.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I am your host, Ku Khahil. I've been covering the Detroit Pistons for the Locked On Network over the last 4 years. I've been a credentialed media member over the last 3 years. I appreciate all of you guys making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. All the everydayers out there, I appreciate all of you guys' support. Hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel if you haven't already at Locked On Pistons, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Now, in today's episode, we're recording this right after the Detroit Pistons used their 37th pick on Chaz Lanier, sharpshooter, guard, out of Tennessee this past year. Now, I'm gonna try to keep and later on, by the way, we'll talk about Dennis Schroder potentially being gone. Maybe the Pistons lose him, and also free agency's coming up next. What should you be expecting? So we'll talk about that coming up. But after the Pistons made this pick, I've tried talking to as many people as I possibly could. I talked with a few scouts. I have a few quotes here that I'm going to provide for you guys. I heard some stuff, so I'm going to give you guys everything I possibly was able to find in the last 15 or so minutes before we start recording. Now, I didn't know much about this player before they drafted him, but like I said, I've tried to pick up as much as possible. Last year for Tennessee, this dude's an absolute sniper. If there's anything you want to know about this dude, he is an absolute lethal, elite sniper, arguably the best shooter in the entire class. He averaged 18 points this past year at Tennessee. He shot, this is the most important part, 40% from three on 8.2 attempts. Insanely high volume. The year before this, when he shot 44% from deep on 7.5 attempts. He gets a lot of threes up. He shoots an incredible percentage on these threes. It looks like he's an off guard, around 6'4", not too heavy, not too big either, not tiny, but not too big, 6'4". But like I said, I went and talked to a few scouts to figure out, why did the Pistons make this pick? How do you feel about this guy? Is he actually good? There were some positives and there were some negatives. So I'm going to get some positives out of here first. The first thing that I wanted to let you guys know about, I spoke with a scout right after this. They told me apparently Detroit was really wild from him or by him at the combine and workouts, and they believe he could play immediately. That was from a scout. Apparently, the Pistons really loved him from what he showed in the workout and what he showed at the combine, and they believe he could be a player on day one. Now, this is an older prospect. So if you take an older prospect, you'd expect that he'd be able to play. He played 5 years in college. So obviously, when you take older prospects, you expect these kind of players to be able to play right away. And the Pistons, for where they are at in their team building process, they are probably no longer in that earlier stage, obviously, where you just take darts at the wall, whatever, and you take chances on guys that maybe are younger that you will try to build up yourself. The Pistons seem to be in a position now where they are trying to find guys that could theoretically come in and play right away for them this upcoming season. And fill some kind of role, experience, all that kind of stuff. So apparently he wowed them at the combine. They think he can play right away. This is from an SEC coach when discussing who's a better shooter, because the other guy that we reacted to this live, by the way, over on the playback. And the other guy, as soon as they made this pick, the other guy that came out was like, okay, well, if you wanted this type of player, why didn't you just get Kobe Bria? And this is from an SEC coach. When asked who's a better shooter between Chaz and Kobe. And I'm not going to read the entire thing. It'd take forever. So I'm just going to pick a few things out here that he said. He said, quote, Chaz, the degree of difficulty, we had this conversation as a staff. Kobe's 6'7" and shoots the skin off the ball. But if you compared his threes to Chaz's threes, Chaz made over 120 threes. At least 30 of them were from beyond 25 feet. And he was getting chased off the line on a lot of those threes. Whereas Kobe had a lot of other guys creating for him, and Chaz was the number one scorer for Tennessee. He goes on to say, But I would say just the magnitude. I think some people don't take the mental side of the game into the play when we talk about these things, like who took bigger shots, whose shots were more impactful, whose shots were more difficult. If Chaz didn't make those shots, Tennessee just doesn't win. If you look at his game when he made multiple threes, every single one was different, It wasn't just catch and shoot. Some of these threes were off the bounce. There was a play when he hit a defender with a boom, boom between the legs, step back three. Next play, he's in the ball screen, step back three versus Texas A&M. I think he made like 8 threes in the game, and all of them were different. So this is a player who, and that was end quote. I should have said that. My fault. He is in a fantastic shooter, an elite shooter who is not just a catch and shooter. He's a movement shooter. Apparently there's some belief that he could be a pull-up shooter. He is in every facet possible when it comes to shooting the basketball, elite. He is at the top tier. And at least this SEC coach felt like he was the best shooter in the class. And it sounds like, according to this guy I spoke with, that the Pistons felt like he was the best shooter in this class and that he could contribute right away. So that's the positives. He's an older prospect. He maybe could contribute right away, and he's a lethal shooter. That is the positives. Now, I did speak with another scout who wasn't as high on this pick. I wanted to make sure I gave you guys both sides. This scout felt like Bria would have been a better pick if you wanted to go this route. They're higher on Bria than Chaz. The other thing that they said is that he is a really, quote, really capable movement shooter, elite movement shooter, but that's really it. Don't believe that he can really pass, and don't believe he can really defend. You're really expecting him to just be a lights out shooter. I asked them what would be the best outcome? I asked this guy, what would be the best outcome for this player? The best possible outcome, 99th percentile, he hits. What does it look like if he hits? And this scout told me it's Malik Beasley. That's what you're expecting him to be. So spoke with 2 scouts, spoke with a few people, or at least one person with knowledge of the situation of how the Pistons felt about this guy. So in all, from everything I've heard, he's a great shooter, but it seems like he's limited in other things he'll be able to bring to your team. But the Pistons obviously are extremely high on him. And based on what I've heard, how I look at this as, with free agency coming up, and we're about to talk about Dennis Schroder maybe leaving. One, could he be just potential insurance in case the Pistons lose 1 or 2 more people that they maybe don't want to lose? He could be insurance in that route. That's one. 2, could he be insurance because he is an older prospect, and if his outcome is just Malik Beasley, like if that's what his best outcome is, and if the Pistons truly believe he's this lethal of a movement shooter like that to come off the bench, could he be someone that gives the Pistons this belief that, hey, we can sign Malik to this contract, this team-friendly contract, give him this MLE, and now we have potentially a replacement on the team that mid-season, maybe Malik's balling out again. Maybe we can move Malik and get some value at maybe the 4 position, something else, and we already had the replacement on the team to step up, and now we can kind of double dip. We have the shooter still, and now we can go address another team issue. That's what it seems like to me that the Pistons are going with this route. Now, I've seen some mixed reactions. I've seen some people really love this pick. I've seen some people that really dislike this pick. It felt like some people felt like there were some other better overall players, but very clearly the Pistons were completely won over by just how elite of a shooter he was, and he especially wowed them in workouts combine. Like, he completely wowed them, and they believe he can play right away and be an impact shooter right away. So we'll just have to wait and see. There's something that you just can't question with this pick, though. He is 100% a sniper. It is what it is. So we'll see what happens. I'm interested to see if this – I don't think any second-round pick really impacts like your free agent decisions. I don't think that's – because you make a second-round pick, you're like, okay, well, now we don't need this guy. I don't think they do that at all. I don't think you should do that at all. But – what I will say is I'm interested to see free agency, because maybe this means the Pistons don't expect to bring back THJ. They're already maybe losing Schroder, which we'll talk about coming up, but maybe they don't expect to bring back THJ. Maybe they expect this guy to be Malik's replacement during the season. Like, I'm really interested to see how it plays out now with their own guys who, again, THJ and Malik are both this type of shooter. This is the exact same role that they play. So I'm interested to see how this plays out. But obviously, we're all hoping that Chaz ends up being a real impact player for the Pistons. Again, an older prospect, kind of know what he is. He doesn't have a high ceiling. You're not really expecting him to become something crazy. You know what he's going to be. You expect to get that right away. Hopefully he's able to impact the team. I'm interested to see how he plays at Summer League. I think he could be a really fun watch, especially if he's launching 30-foot threes and just all netting them. I think that could be a real fun watch, especially with Ron and Bobby Klitman playing in this Summer League. So let me know, comment section down below or over on Twitter at Ku Khahil. How do you guys feel about this pick? Do you guys like it? Do you guys dislike it? Was this the pick you would have made? Is there someone else that you would have rather the Pistons went after with this pick? Let me know all of that. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at Ku Khahil. Coming up, Dennis Schroder could be gone. The Pistons could be losing Dennis Schroder. And if they lose Schroder, then what? We'll talk about that coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Skims. When I found out Skims was making underwear for men, I was intrigued. I've heard so much about their quality from friends and family, so I had to give it a try. And let me tell you, it lives up to the hype. I've always had issues with underwear, fit, comfort, just finding the right style for me. Skims changed all of that. Their men's line offers something for everyone, from boxer briefs to classic briefs, all designed with the perfect balance of comfort and style. I tried their boxer briefs, so I'm absolutely hooked. These are the perfect underwear for my active lifestyle. They move with me, never lose their shape, and stay in place all day long. Whether I'm working out or just running errands, they're the most comfortable and reliable underwear I've ever owned. Plus, the lightweight material feels amazing, almost like you're wearing nothing at all. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com. Let them know that we sent you after you place your order. Select podcast in the survey and select Locked On Pistons in the drop-down menu that follows. Again, shop Skims Men's at skims.com. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. That's another great way to support the podcast. I am recording this live. We have 2 back-to-back podcast episodes recorded live. Right now, we have 320 people in. I appreciate everyone who's tuning in live. If you want to be a part of a potential live recording of the podcast, go subscribe to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. You'll be notified anytime we go live. I see this comment right here. It's funny. From Chaz over on YouTube. Cheeks look recovered. Yeah, I am feeling good. I'm no longer feeling any of the effects from the wisdom teeth surgery. It was a bad 5 days, dude. For 5 days there, it was not fun at all. But I'm feeling a lot better. It's still a little bit, sore, but I feel a lot better. I'm definitely good. All right, so moving on past Chaz and discussing, that pick and how the Pistons felt and what I've heard and what the scouts are saying that I've talked to. Let's move into what's going on with Dennis Schroder. If you haven't been tuned in to some of the reports over the last few days, we've gotten reports from Mark Stein, from Jake Fisher, from what's the other reporter's name? Sam Amico, I believe it was. Sam Amico. I might be saying his last name wrong. I don't know if it was Amico, but I know it's Sam something. I'm losing thought here. But we've got multiple reports now that are hinting and leaking out that there are multiple teams that have a lot of interest in Dennis Schroder this upcoming offseason. And the 2 names that I have heard over the last few days are the Kings, and I heard Dallas. I heard Dallas 3 days ago. I was talking with somebody, and they told me that Dallas is really interested in Schroder, and the Pistons are bracing for the idea that they might lose him. Now, the Pistons are in talks with him this week. They can talk with him now because the season has officially ended. Trajan confirmed that. And there has been a report today that came out that the Pistons are obviously in talks with him and would like to re-sign him. That's part of the reason why they want to operate as an over-the-cap team, so they can re-sign a Dennis Schroder with his early bird rights. That's part of the whole reason for doing it. Now, if they were to lose Schroder, do they still want to operate as an over-the-cap team? That would be interesting. It'd be interesting to see if they still feel like that's the better route, or should they try to create cap space, create that around $18 million that they could create and go that route. Would that be better for them? I'm interested to see how that would play out if they think that they're going to lose Schroder. But anyways, obviously the Pistons would like to resign him. They're talking with them about it right now. But there are 2 teams that want to sign him, it seems like. The Kings, and like I told you, I've heard about the Mavs. This is the problem here. This is the problem the Pistons are going to run into. And we've talked about this a little bit on the podcast, but there's 2 things the Pistons, I don't think, can match what those teams are offering Dennis Schroder. If those teams really do want Schroder, there's 2 things that they can't really match with those teams. The first thing is the role. The role that those teams can offer him, the Pistons can't match that. Dennis has not played, and I've brought this up a few times on Twitter. Dennis has not played less than 25 minutes a game since like he became a starter in Atlanta. Once he became a starter in Atlanta, I believe it was his third year. Since then, the lowest minutes per game he's played in any season of his career was the half season or 20 or so games he played with the Pistons last year when he played 25 minutes. He's played more minutes than that every single season of his career, and he just played really well for the Pistons. He just played really well for the Pistons in the playoffs. These teams see it, and he is not at the age where he wants to accept a less than 25-minute role. He's not accepting a 15, 16-minute role. And I think that's kind of the role that he would have with the Pistons next year. I want you guys to look at this. Schroder shared a ton of his minutes next to Cade. Actually, you know what? I can get the exact number. I can pull up the exact number right now. I probably should have had the exact number up for you guys already. But Schroder played a lot of his minutes next to Cade. They played a lot of two-guard lineups with Cade and Dennis Schroder. According to PBP stats, Dennis Schroder played 460 minutes without Cade. He played 243 minutes. 243 minutes with Cade in the regular season. We already know in the playoffs, they shared the floor together a lot. Let me see if I can get the playoff numbers. Yeah, in the playoffs, Dennis Schroder played more minutes with Cade than he did without Cade. He played 40 minutes without Cade, 124 with him. The reason why I bring that up, Jaden Ivey's coming back. Jaden Ivey plays that off-ball role. He's taking all of those two-guard minutes. Those two-guard minutes next to Cade are no longer, I believe, available for Schroder. Because even if you want to say the minutes where Ivey's off the floor, well, that's for Beasley. You're about to pay 14. You're about to give Beasley the entire MLE. You're not doing that so he can play 19 minutes. He played 27 minutes a game this past year. So Ivey's coming back. He's taking all of his minutes back. Beasley was arguably the sixth man of the year this past year. And you're about to hand him the entire MLE. So you've taken all of those minutes at the two position where you're sharing with Cade. So he can't soak up those minutes anymore to kind of steal some minutes here and there with that. And Cade's going to play, 34, 35 minutes a game? Played around 33 this past year. What's he going to play? 33, 34, 35? That leaves around 13 to 15 minutes as only the backup point guard minutes. So where are you creating these ton of minutes for Schroder? Now, maybe you try to go to three-guard lineup. Maybe you try to go Schroder, Cade, and Ivey. But if you're doing that, that means you're cutting minutes from either Asar, Ron, because then you're kicking one of them off the floor at the three. I just don't see where the Pistons just cannot come close to matching the role that the Kings or the Mavs could be offering him. He's going to be a starter at those teams. He's going to start for those guys. He will play 25-plus minutes easy, especially for the Mavs. The Mavs might play him 30-plus minutes next year, especially until Kyrie comes back. Pistons just can't match that. And that's not even mentioning THJ. That's something we probably should have talked about on the podcast. I mean, we're going to talk about it a lot probably the next week. But I probably should have brought this up more on the podcast before. Is that now with Ivey coming back, you do start to have a crunch now for minutes at this guard position. Because heading into year two, Ron's going to take more minutes. Ron, this past year, Ron was a rookie. If you can get him minutes, great. If not, it's no big deal. Going to year two, I'm telling you, I mean, I just shouldn't have to tell you guys this, but I know the Pistons are very high on Ron. Very high. And if anyone might try to steal 2 minutes, the two-guard minutes, I think it was going to be Ron next year. They're going to want to play Ron a lot. Ron and Asar a lot next year. So you got those two guys taking these three, probably the three position, might try to steal some 4 minute or some 4 minutes. I think even some 2 minutes. You got Ivey coming back who needs his starter minutes. You got Cade, obviously. If you give Malik his full MLE, he's getting his 27 minutes. He's at least 25. He's getting his minutes. If you want to bring THA back, that's another guy that maybe wants to get his minutes. If you bring him back, they might just let him go. But if he were to come back, that would be another one. You just drafted Chaz, and it sounds like from what I've heard, the Pistons were wowed by him in the workouts, and they believe he can play right away. So you just got him. You got Schroder too. So Schroder could take all the backup point guard minutes, but that's only 15, maybe 18 at most. That right there. Is Schroder really going to want that? That's one. And then obviously two, the money. The Pistons, I don't know the exact amount that the Pistons, what the highest amount is. I believe I saw the highest amount the Pistons could offer him theoretically within the CBA. It's around $20-ish million, I believe I saw. Obviously, he's not getting offered $20 million, but that's the highest that they theoretically could with his early bird rights I saw, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments or not. The Pistons, I don't believe, are going to want to pay Schroder more than like $11 million. Like, I don't think that's... I don't feel like they want to pay that much money. And with what we talked about in the last podcast, where it felt like Trajan really was throughout the podcast to me saying, without actually saying it, look, we have a price point with all these guys. And I'm including like Ivy and Duren. It felt like every time he was asked about this, it was like, hey, we would love to have these guys back, but we're prepared to go in a different route. So it felt like to me, he's like, yeah, we got a number. And if we have to go above that number, you know, it is what it is. We'd love to have him back, but we got a number. If it has to go above that, we're prepared to go in a different way. So Dallas is going to be able. Dallas could pay him some money. I think they just created that MLE, didn't they? I believe Dallas just created that MLE with this trade they just made. And then the Kings could offer him money too. There are teams that are either going to be able to offer Schroder. Either they're going to be able to offer him a much bigger role, or they're going to be able to offer him money that maybe the Pistons just don't want to get to for a backup point guard. Like that's the two options. Now, am I saying he's definitely out the gate? No, because the Pistons do want him back. And Schroder does have a level of interest about coming back. He liked his time here. He liked his time with the team. He liked his time in the playoffs this past year. So there's mutual interest to come back. But like Trajan said, agents are tough to deal with. That's one. And two, when you got rival teams that are telling him, hey, why would you go play? You're 30 years old. You're still in your prime. You're playing. You just played great this past year. Why would you accept that offer to play 17 minutes a game when we can offer you a starting position to play for a team with Anthony Davis and Cooper Flagg and Derek Lively and Klay Thompson? Why do that when we're telling you can be our starter? Why would that's the problem the Pistons are going to run into. So if they do lose Schroder, because I do think it's really on the board. I think before this past week of these rumors, I thought it was very likely he was returning. But after these reports of these multiple teams that need point guards really identifying Schroder, I now have shifted completely away. I think it's really on the board that he moves on. I almost would say it's probably likely that they don't end up bringing him back. If they do, great. They pulled it off. That would be fantastic. He was a really good point guard for the Pistons, backup point guard. But I think I'm leaning more towards now that it's likely he's probably not coming back. If he doesn't come back, how do the Pistons replace him? I don't know. It's really going to be tough. I know I am the Ivy hater. I get everyone thinks I hate Ivy. I get it, okay? So I know these numbers are not going to do me any justice here. But if the Pistons lose Schroder, currently on the roster, their best situation probably would be to give Ivy those backup minutes. And we saw what that looked like this past year. In the 378 minutes where Ivy played the point guard position without Cade, they were outscored by 3.3 points per 100 possessions. And we know, I think most people are aware that Ivy is not equipped to be a point guard. He is great off ball. He's a great lethal off ball scorer. He feeds off of Cade. He feeds off the gravity. He's not someone that you want running your offense. So if Ivy isn't the most equipped to do it, who else on the roster really is? He probably is the most equipped one. So are you putting Ivy in the best situation to succeed coming off an injury? Then you have to go to free agency. Is there going to be a free agent that maybe that, because there are rumors about this, that because no team has any cap space, there might be some players, there are some good players that sign for like the vet min, that sign for that $5 million exception, 1-year deal, so they can get back out next year and try to earn some money because no one has cap space. Maybe the Pistons wait it out. Maybe they can get a vet min on Tyus Jones. Maybe they can get it on Malcolm Brogdon, maybe. But again, those guys are getting interest from teams that want them to start, that want them to play heavy minutes. So if they lose Schroder, which I think we'd find out very early on in free agency, I think we would know very quickly and early. I feel like it almost would happen like immediately. As soon as free agency opens, I feel like we would know. If that happens, I think the Pistons' most likely scenario probably is they're probably waiting out the dominoes at that point of free agency and just sitting back and saying, okay, there are some spots for these guys to go to that they might like better. We'll wait. See who fills them in and which point guards left out. Which ones are left that we can say, hey, we'll give you this 1 year contract. You can go back out in free agency next year and get money, but come play for us for a year. I think that would be the most likely scenario if they do end up losing Schroder. Again, the number one priority for the Pistons is bringing back Schroder. They want Schroder back. I'm not saying that he's definitely gone at all. I'm just, it's sounding like I'm leaning more so towards that he's not coming back because of the interest from other teams and what they can offer him. So Pistons may be able to pull it off. They really want him back, but I think it's going to be hard now. So let me know. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at Ku Khahil. Will the Pistons be able to pull off bringing back Schroder, do you guys believe? What teams do you guys think could take him? And if they do end up losing Schroder, what do you guys think the plan is at that point? What should they do? Let me know. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at Ku Khahil. Coming up, free agency is now next. The draft is out the way. The Pistons made their picks. Free agency is less than a week away. That's what everyone's looking forward to. I'm going to tell you guys why the Pistons are not going to make noise by signing free agents, but probably by trading for guys. I'll tell you guys that coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's a game day, and you suddenly realize, I want to go check out a baseball game. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come hang out with you at the game. Game Time makes it super possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to the first pitch. And they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of having to buy tickets. I love Game Time. My favorite thing about it is that I get to see the view from my seat right within the app. I don't have to guess what my seat's going to look like. Also, other favorite thing, I swear it feels like even after games start, I'm getting great prices on tickets. You don't get better prices on tickets anywhere else. I absolutely love it. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed with Game Time. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review or whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. All right. I see another funny comment here. Where is Corey Joseph when you need him? Corey Joseph, I'm pretty sure that Magic fans actually liked how he played this. He was with the Magic, right? I believe. Yeah. He was with the I'm pretty sure I saw fans saying they actually thought he played well. So who knows? Maybe Corey comes back to the Pistons and gives them some much needed minutes. I'm only joking. All right. So free agency is next, right around the corner. The draft is over. The NBA finals, it feels like NBA season just zoomed by. The finals are over. The draft is already over. And now we're less than a week away from free agency. It feels like all this has happened so quick. And before we get into free agency, I do want to let you guys know, I just wrote an article at the Substack where I talked about what I've heard this summer when it comes to the Pistons' interest and potential stretch five, like we've been hearing. Tell you guys what I've heard. I break down the numbers of the Pistons starting lineup, their half-court issues, and why there seems to be at least a little bit of intrigue about what it could look like differently long-term with some of the starting lineup members. Go check it out if you haven't already. But free agency is around the corner. This is not going to be, I believe, a free agency where you see the Pistons or really any team sign, like flat out signing players. No one has cap space. No one. The only team with cap space is Brooklyn. Brooklyn's the only team with cap space, and who knows what they're doing. They just went out and somehow had the most picks ever in a draft and still found a way to have the worst draft ever. Sorry, Locked On Nets. It's too easy. It's too easy. So they're the only team with cap space. Today, Shams Charania reported on ESPN that he's hearing that this is going to be a heavy sign and trade offseason in free agency. Heavy sign and trade. Because no team has any cap space. And I think that's exactly where the Pistons could take advantage and try to get a guy, maybe like a Naz Reid. Maybe that's how they get Naz. Now, it sounds like coming out of Minnesota that they are prioritizing Naz Reid over Nickeil Alexander-Walker. It sounds like Nickeil Alexander-Walker is moving on somewhere, which, to be honest, I like Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I think he would be really good for this team. And all I'm going to say with Nickeil Alexander-Walker is that he is a really good shooter, but also someone who's a good defender and can play and can handle some ball handling responsibilities. Take from that what you will. I'm not going to say anything else. I'm not making any claims. All I'm saying is he can really shoot it, but he can also do a little bit of other stuff that helps your team. So if they're letting him go and you have to sign and trade for him, I honestly would really like him, to be honest. But maybe you go get Naz with that way. Myles Turner. Tyrese Halliburton's out next year. I've already seen some rumors that maybe the Pacers let Turner walk now. Do they really want to pay him the money that he wants, knowing that next year's cooked? Hallie's out. It's done. Do they really want to pay Myles Turner all that money, knowing that next year's done? We've already seen the Pistons mentioned in rumors with Myles Turner. Could they try to use that and that opportunity to go get Myles Turner? Potentially. I could see it. Santi Aldama with the Memphis Grizzlies. You're not going to be able to just sign him outright. Could you maybe sign and trade with the Grizzlies for him? Maybe you send, if Santi wants to come to the Pistons, he tells the Grizzlies, I want to sign with the Pistons. I don't want to be here. I want to be with Detroit. Work out, sign and trade with them. I mean, maybe you can send Tech in a few seconds, maybe. Make that work. Sign and trade for him. I mean, that's where the Pistons are going to try to make it work. I think if they, and I know there's a bunch of conversation right now, but whether the Pistons actually are wanting to make any moves. I think Trajan is going to make some moves. I don't think he's going to make any big swings, but I think he's going to make moves to improve the roster. Until he doesn't, I'm going to believe that. Because I just don't think there's any way anyone would just walk out of this offseason without doing anything. So the only way they really can do this is by signing trades. And there are a few players around the league that I feel like you might have a chance to take advantage of. Again, the whole situation with Hallie and the Pacers. Could that make Myles Turner open up? Naz Reid. Maybe the Timberwolves feel like just can't pay Naz Reid that money. We'll rather have Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Pistons get in, they can sign and trade for Naz Reid. Maybe they sign and trade for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I really would like that one. I've seen a few people in the comments during the live stream. This actually is a good point. Maybe PJ Washington, maybe the Pistons, I sure have maybe thought about this before. I didn't even think about this, PJ Washington. But maybe if Schroder goes to Dallas, says, hey, I'm signing with Dallas. Sorry, guys, they're going to offer me a bigger role, but I want to help you guys out. Can you guys work out a sign and trade? Maybe you sign and trade Schroder to Dallas, and because the Pistons will be able to offer more money, I believe, than Dallas, obviously, because they have the early bird rights. Maybe you sign Schroder to more money, and you say, okay, we'll give you Schroder, but we want PJ. And maybe you get the Mavs to bite on that. I think that would be tough to do. You might have to include something else, I think. But maybe you work something like that out. But that's where the Pistons are going to have to make their hay. That's where if they want to improve this offseason, sign-in trades are where they have to try to figure it out. And we'll find out in less than a week if they're able to get anything done. I really would like Santi Aldama. If they're able to make that work, I really would like Santi. But let me know. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at Ku Khahil. What free agents are you looking for the Pistons that you are most interested in the Pistons trying to sign and trade for? Let me know. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at Ku Khahil. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen every single day. The everydayers, I appreciate and love all of you guys. Hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel. We're less than 100 subscribers away from 11,000 subs. I'm less than 50 subs away at the Substack from 500 subs over there. If you haven't already, head over there and hit that subscribe. I really appreciate all of you guys' support. Leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. Let me know what you guys think about this draft pick. Are you guys excited? How you guys feeling? But until next time, I will see you guys later. Stay safe out there. And until next time, peace out, everybody.